If you're like me and you're sick of all these get-rich-quick schemes and crypto coin, NFT projects, all that stuff that ultimately fail, and you want to become a millionaire by the time you retire, then stick around because I have a sure and safe way to do so. Welcome to the Investment Journey channel. This is my first ever video, so I would really appreciate a thumbs up, like, or a subscribe to my channel. Pass it along to friends and family so that we can all help each other on our own investment journeys. Today, we're going to discuss a Roth IRA. We're going to go over what is a Roth IRA, why you should invest in a Roth IRA, and how much do I need to invest in a Roth IRA to become a millionaire. Now, something to mention before we begin all this is that if you file taxes as a single person, your modified adjusted gross income has to be below around $144,000 for the year 2022. And if you're married and file jointly, it has to be around $208,000 and below. Now, for most of us, it doesn't apply. And there is something called a backdoor Roth IRA, a way for people that make over the maximum threshold to contribute to an IRA, but that's for a different recording. So what is a Roth IRA? Well, a Roth IRA is an individual retirement account. Essentially what it is, it's taking money that you've already been taxed on for your job and putting it into a retirement account. Now, traditional IRA differs from that because traditional is tax deferred, meaning they won't tax you in the beginning, but then when you take it out, you're taxed. A Roth IRA, anything that you make profit, whether you make $10,000, hundreds of thousands of dollars, or millions of dollars, they tax you on nothing, assuming you pull it out at 59 and a half years old. Now, there's some caveat to that and actually some beneficial things. So if you need to take out money early, whatever you contribute to that Roth IRA, you can take out the contributions without any penalty at any time. If you need to take out more, which I do not recommend, they put like a 10% tax on it, and including taxes that you'll need to pay on it. So it's really not a good idea. But if you have money just sitting in your savings account doing absolutely nothing, because banks give you like 0.01% interest where you make a couple of bucks per year, you could be making, now the stock market typically does around, if you follow like an S&P 500 mutual fund or ETF, about 10% per year, and conservatively, let's say 8% per year, right? It compounds, the interest keeps growing and growing, and your dollar bills that you originally had make dollar bills, and then you get interest on the dollar bills that you made, and then so on and so forth. It's a snowball effect. Now, you could contribute up to $6,000 per year in a Roth IRA. However, when you turn 50, they consider it a catch-up thing where you could put in $7,000 per year. Now, this isn't much. It doesn't seem like much at first, but it grows and grows and grows. Okay, so let's take a look at some actual numbers. Let's say we start off with $0 and we want to retire at 65 and we're 25 years old. After 40 years at about 8% return, we're going to compound that annually and we're going to contribute $6,000 the max per year. Let's see what we would have. We would have in retirement at 65 years old, 1.5 mil, over 1.5 mil. We'll have total contributions only $240,000, which seems like a lot, but over time it's not. And the total interest is $1.3 million. If you notice in the graph how it starts off slow, but it builds and builds and compounds, and it's just a sharp raise as you get older and older and more time. So more time in the market, the earlier you do it, the better. Now, again, you want to invest in safe index funds. You're not investing in individual stocks and hoping that they shoot up suddenly. You want index funds that track the S&P 500, that track the overall U.S. stock market, maybe some international funds, maybe a couple of percent of bonds, just to be safe. And yes, it's boring and you only have a few funds and there's not much buying or selling, but over time it compounds, it builds on the dividends, and it keeps growing and growing. And you'll be amazed at how many people, active managers, 95% of them fail to beat the S&P 500 year over year. So if you take any 10-year span, an actively managed fund, which robs you by the end and takes hundreds of thousands of dollars potentially, will do worse than if you just put it into safe index funds, do nothing, literally no work, your dollar's working for you, you will be a millionaire by the time you retire. But let's take a look at those numbers again, because not all of us are 25 years old, and some of us are starting later that are watching this video. Now, you can see how powerful it is to start at age 25 or even younger to how much it builds. But let's take a look and see what happens. So let's imagine instead of 25 years old, you started at 30 years old. Now, that's only a 5-year difference, but let's see what effect it has. So if we're starting at 30 years old to 65 is 35 years, we're going to keep the rate of return the same at 8%. and we're going to contribute the same $6,000 per year. At 65, you would have just over $1 million. Now, that's a $500,000 difference for starting at 25. That's only a 5-year difference, and look how much money you make. So the earlier, the better. Now, Warren Buffett, known as one of the greatest investors of all time, if not the best investor of all time, made a bet, a $1 million bet to all actively managed funds that they could not, in a 10-year period, beat the S&P 500. And all of them failed. See, Warren Buffett believes that safe index funds, investing in basically tracking and matching the overall stock market, is a better investment than trying to beat the market, which many times in the short term you might be able to with 1 or 2 stocks, but ultimately most, if not all, fail to do so. Now, instead of just assuming 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe even 10 stocks will always go up, if one of those stocks out of a 10-stock portfolio goes down and goes bankrupt suddenly, your portfolio will shoot down. Now, an index fund is a lot safer because it invests in tens of hundreds, sometimes thousands of stocks, such as Microsoft, Amazon, Google, Facebook, Visa, Chase, Walmart, things of that nature. And you can own a tiny piece of each of those companies and hope that the overall market eventually goes up. And since its inception in the stock market, the market has always gone up, typically anywhere from 7 to 10%. So you can count on that rather than betting on individual companies. I hope after this video you can see how powerful investing is and doing it early. They say that the best time to plant a tree is 10 years ago, but the second best time is today. So don't wait, open a Roth IRA account and invest in safe index funds and watch your money work for you while you sleep, while you work, and those dollar bills will make more dollar bills and you'll become a millionaire. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video so others can see how important it is to invest and open up a Roth IRA. After all, we all want to escape the rat race of everyday life. Let's make some money.